I'm delighted to say we're joined now by the actor and podcast host, James Sutton. Welcome to you.
Thank you very much.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
James has a new podcast called All About Male Mental Health. It's called Male Mind Matters is the name of it. Tell us about... I think I can probably guess what Male Mind Matters is discussing, but what's your first question, classically, when you have an interviewee in front of you?
How are you is always how I like to start it, because that's a question that men just don't often ask each other. It's a question that we don't get asked. Yeah. Genuinely, how are you? How are you doing? How are you coping?
But if you ask a bloke, he goes, yeah, fine,
yeah, exactly.
Football's good last night.
Yeah, and that's the point of the podcast right there, is that we're...
Whereas if you ask a woman, she's like, right, so on Thursday, I have the chakra slightly moved. And
exactly.
But listen, I saw the great comedian Mickey Flanagan does a whole thing about he was watching his partner to work out what it is about women that's different. And he says that when they talk to each other, they go, how are you in yourself? And he tried to do that to his male friends, and they just looked at him like, have you gone mad?
But that's exactly it. Exactly what you just said there is exactly it. Women are kind of given permission, I think, to have those sorts of conversations historically. You know, female friendship is something that's quite well defined, whereas male friendship isn't. So I wanted to do a podcast. I've always wanted to do a podcast. I love the sound of my own voice. I'm fascinated by people. I love conversations. I love getting to know people, but also mental health, something that I've always been interested in. I've been very open about my own struggles historically with anxiety and with things. And I just felt like encouraging men to have open and honest conversations with each other, sometimes being quite vulnerable.
And what helps them to get... So, for example, with your anxiety, what helps you? That's what I'm interested in. What helps you get out of it? If you wake up on Saturday and you're like that?
Talking.
Okay.
Talking is the best medicine. It's, you know, and we're not encouraged as men to do that, to actually sit down with a friend or to ring a family member and say, hey guys, I'm actually not okay today. So doing a series of podcasts and a series of episodes where we learn about each other and I share a lot of my experiences as well, kind of gives, you know, hopefully gives men permission and encourages them to have these conversations, because we all struggle. Yeah. You know, I mean, you're an incredibly successful broadcaster, host, presenter. I know, but you are. Come on now. But I bet there's. I
genuinely don't recognise that. I'm just muddling along.
But I know there's times that you would benefit, Jeremy, from having those conversations with your male friends.
I won't burden you with it, but I relate totally for various reasons. But the thing that frustrates me slightly about these conversations is no one is ever really allowed to come on and say, you tell me if I'm wrong, the way to deal with it is medicate the hell out of it. Nobody ever comes on and says, take 100 milligrams of Prozac every day and you'll be fine. Why don't they ever do that?
I don't think,
because for some people that works.
Yeah, and I don't think there's as much stigma around that as there perhaps used to be.
Well, that may be true, actually. Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I just think that's quite a private thing for people. I think that's probably.
And also, it isn't the fact that these kind of medications can be incredibly helpful, but you do them in conjunction with other things, like talking and communication and looking after yourself.
And it's true, blokes don't talk. You've noticed this, Aisha, I know, but men...
Totally. Like, I am such a chatter, you know, like with my female friends. I mean, honestly, and I think female friends do provide that therapy for each other. So I think what you're doing is brilliant. I agree. I think it's incredibly important. And actually, I think as men get older as well, what I've noticed with older men is there's a lot of loneliness as well, and there's quite a lot of stigma around geriatric mental health in men and things like that. And it's
there was a
really
brilliant an ad, and I think it might have been Norwich FC.
Beautiful.
You know what I mean?
I know the one you mean.
And we might be able to find it and put it on. Which is where it starts in the obvious way. It says, please be aware of the person near you. And it's two guys, and they're watching the football, and one of them looks really miserable, and the other one's celebrating every goal. And then it says, because one day the unthinkable may happen, i.e. they take their own life. But the one who takes his life is not the miserable one. So it's the guy. It's amazing advert, isn't it?
It's fascinating. Yeah, it's absolutely
brilliant.
Perfect.
It's groundbreaking.
100%. 100%.
So we should mention your acting as well, because you've had an amazing career. I mean, you had Emmerdale for a couple of years, but the main thing is Hollyoaks. Can we see? Is this we're on Emmerdale now?
This is. Oh my gosh! Look at me.
Look at
that hair.
So this would be. I think this would be 2010. Maybe.
These were great days.
The hair is good.
Just me and the lads messing around in a car garage.
2009.
Wow.
No, I didn't think so.
I know this runs slightly counter to what we're watching, but why is it that very sensitive people go into acting?
I think we're quite well connected to our emotions. We like digging deep. We like trying to understand ourselves. We like trying to understand people, and I think that lends itself really well to figuring out characters.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, for me. That's.
But you're sensitive to criticism as well, right? And of course, acting puts you out there. That's the thing.
Yeah, but it's like anything. If you're gonna stick your head above the parapet, if you're gonna make a statement in politics or on broadcasting, whatever, you're putting yourself out there for criticism. So you've got to kind of take the bad with the smooth, I think.
The key character in James's life is John Paul McQueen, which he's been playing since 2006.
On and off.
It's on and off. I know you had a 2-year break when you were back on in Emmerdale, but
do you know something? I love you in Hollyoaks. I absolutely love Hollyoaks so much. It's just such a great show, and
Thank you.
I think so many of us have grown up with it, and it's just classic.
Thank you.
Well, it was a storyline that had a huge impact on my life, and we were talking about this earlier. The storylines that you've had to play have been phenomenal.
In terms of what, the gay character and stuff?
Yes. I mean, that was iconic. We were talking about the timing at which Hollyoaks is on and the audience and the demographic that it appeals to. I mean, you were saying that to me.
It's a really important show, Hollyoaks, for the time slot, for the age of our audience, and for the subject matter that we cover. I mean, I can't think of many other shows that put out those sort of storylines at 6:30 on Channel 4. I mean, that's really bold of the channel and of the production company to do that.
And can I just?
Do you think? I'm going to go back to male mental health concern. Do you think it is hard to be a bloke now?
I think that I have faith in the younger generations. I work with a lot of young men who are just so generous with each other and so caring and so vulnerable and aren't afraid to put an arm around each other and ask how each other are, and they're really sensitive.
Really?
I have huge.
Not
faith.
like back in the 80s.
It's our generation that are a mess.
Prior to that, is the guy. The guy at school who was the god was the one who was good at games. He was the one who could do cricket and football and rugby, right? And he was like that, and everyone else was a nerd, and so we all just crept around, and that was the way the ranking worked, wasn't it? It was basically about physical prowess.
Yeah. Now I think there's a real celebration of sensitivity amongst our youngsters.
Great.
It's really good.
Can I ask you a question
Yeah,
about
please.
There's a lot of concern as well about how some young men are quite attracted to some of these quite misogynistic men on social media, like the Andrew Tates and things. What's your thoughts on what's happening?
Yeah, it's obviously it's a real concern. There's a lot of really lonely guys out there. There is a subsection. I call it a subsection. I mean, there's probably quite a few of them, of the younger generations who buy into that ideology and think that Andrew Tate and people like that are their idea of what masculinity looks like and their idea of what success looks like. And it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. That's not what success and that's not what being a man is all about. Being a man is about being strong, but it's about being strong for other people as well. It's about inviting people into your space and showing them that it's okay to talk and that it's okay to be vulnerable. That's what it is to be a man, not to be online bragging about how much money you've got and how many cars you own. I mean, that's just nonsense.
So well said.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
well
I love that.
said.
Thank
So
you.
well
Thank you.
said.
Thank you.
Exactly.
So the podcast is called Male Mind Matters. It's available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Stay with us, James.
Thank you.
And we'll take a look at some of the other stories. So we've got here in the Telegraph, weight loss jabs, no quick fix for photos on Instagram. This is the Health Secretary, and one person who's in the frame on this is that you see her, Lottie Moss, who shared online her experience of taking Ozempic for just 2 weeks.
Ozempic. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I definitely tried it. When I tell you it was the worst decision I ever made. So if this is a warning to anyone, please, if you're thinking about doing it, do not take it. Like, it's so not worth it. I took it for 2 weeks and I've never felt so sick in my life. I felt so sick one day. I'd said to my friend, like, I can't keep any water down. I can't keep any food down, like no liquids, nothing. I need to go to the hospital. Like, I feel really sick.
Yeah, well, I don't know where we start with that. I mean, she shouldn't have been taking it for a start. It's for people who are obese. or have type 2 diabetes. What do you think, Charlie?
Well, totally. And it kind of, without going back to the previous subject, it goes back to the heart of, can you just take Prozac? Can you just take a weight loss pill? We are so fixated sometimes on the quick fixes, but actually, and the insecurities that social media provides, whether it's men that are sort of looking at other people, whether it's women that are thinking, oh my God, I need to be slimmer than slim because I'm going to a wedding or a party or whatever, and so I'm taking this newfound pill.
We had a guest in the studio, and it's a male, and he's the same build as you. So not overweight. And he said, I'm just
I was waiting for yes.
I'm just on Ozempic at the moment because I'm going on holiday next month. So he was doing like a month on it to get beach ready. And I said, you're crazy. Now, he's not said it publicly, so I'll say no more. But that goes back a bit to what you were saying about men and their image.
Yeah, it's scary stuff. I think, as long as you're getting medical advice and you're actually going to a doctor and saying, this is what I'm thinking of doing, and this is, get your blood work done and all that kind of stuff, then fair enough. But if it's that easily obtainable that there has to be warnings put out on TikTok and Instagram and stuff, then that's really scary. I mean, actually, fair play to that young girl for stepping forward.
She's Kate Moss's sister, is she?
Yeah, fair play for saying that, because a lot of people wouldn't have done
that. No, and she made herself maybe look a bit silly by doing it. But of course, if you say this is a weight loss drug, you will get some people who want to lose weight for the wrong reasons taking it.
But you're always going to get that. I mean, she's also part of a culture, and so many young women and older women as well are affected by this, where the pressure to look a certain way, and that's always been the case with women, and now more with men as well. You're either too fat, the circle of shame. It used to be, women just used to get routinely shamed about that. I get horrible comments about how I sort of look on social media and things like that. Yeah. And I think that can really get into your head. So I think it's great. I think it's good that she's done it, but I don't think we should laugh at her, because I think there's a lot of people that will feel the pressure. Yeah,
and it's a relatively new drug. We're still working out what it's for, really. So there's a story in the Mail. Labour, poor old Labour's having a bit of a mare, aren't they? Labour axes plan to ban smoking in pub gardens. Oh, because, this was a Conservative plan, I thought. Wasn't it, Charlie, or not? Well, wasn't this one of Rishi Sunak's ones?
Rishi, I think, tried to bring in legislation to stop the sale of cigarettes when you're above a particular age and birth year, and then it increases year on year.
OK, so the pub gardens was Labour, right?
Pub gardens was Labour, which I think was a little bit encroaching on. If you're outside, if you're a smoker, you can't smoke inside for good reason, I think, because obviously everyone else's health in it. I do remember actually being young when you could still smoke in pubs. Not that I was smoking in pubs, I was far too young, but you can see and remember what that was like. But smoking outside,
you don't have a problem.
I don't have a problem.
Do you have a problem with it?
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I think ban it everywhere. I'm sorry, I know there's lots of people who enjoy a cigarette.
Everywhere, wow, but I love that. In the home as well.
But tell me a benefit. Like, it's 2024. We're not back in like the 70s where everyone's smoking. Like we know now how bad it is.
Everywhere. That's kind of radical.
No, but we do.
We ban pizza on that basis, though.
Yeah, but there's
no benefit.
You can't get passive pizza. You can't get passive pizza damage.
Thanks for backing me up then. I was floundering there.
Passive pepperoni, kind of,
The budget has had so much trailing, I wouldn't even be surprised if they banned pizza. There's so much going on.
They're going to tax pizzas. We'll put a tax on
the
pizza.
cost to the NHS as well from smoking. There's no benefit. Passive smoking.
I don't know if there's any country in the world that's actually banned it, because you'd have to raid people's homes.
Well,
I think smoking in the... Well, you say that. That's where the kid gets damaged, where the child is in the cot and the parent is smoking over them. That's almost the most serious place it happens. You're liberal on this.
Well, I think so. I'm sort of slightly I'm Tony Blair. I'm the third way here, basically, right? Kind of thing.
Well, declaring war.
I think it's really difficult to ban it outside, and I do understand the pressures from a lot of pubs are closing at such a big rate. People, often their beer gardens keep them going in the summer. But I am sort of with you, which is sometimes when you go outside and you're just engulfed in clouds of other people's smoke, it is a bit...
It's tricky. I don't
Maybe
know.
You have a smoking area and you try and have a non-smoking. Maybe that's the way to sort of try and do it.
Yeah, I mean, what Labour have done is really interesting. Because I know you're Labour support. No, you were Labour, weren't you? Now you've gone Green.
Yeah.
They've decided to take on the pensioners. That's gone badly. They're now going to hit the motorists. That's going to go badly. And let's get the smokers as well. Which is the next group.
People have been coming after smokers for quite some time. In fact, Rishi's plan was very unpopular with Tories. The Labour Party's actually enacted as a parting gift to Rishi Sunak, his flagship piece of legislation.
It's
fine. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
You've got a story about a lights display in Ipswich. Now, before we say what it is, Have a look. If you just look at this picture and what do you think it actually is? Because the people who saw it said, OK, well, the headline kind of gives it away. Right. OK, so that's the answer. Right, OK. So,
That went really well,
that
didn't
went
it?
well. Yeah, we did that really well. So it's a tomato. It's a tomato factory. I didn't know tomato factory had red lights, Aisha. I would have thought they'd have...
I don't know what you have a tomato factory for, to like make tomatoes. I don't understand. No, I think the story's great because there were lots of people posting pictures of the Northern Lights, a couple of weeks ago. So I can understand why people looked at this and went, "Oh, that looks lovely. That looks sort of nice." But apparently, it was just a big.
I mean, it's still a beautiful picture, regardless of where the light came from.
But I mean, there's so many things here. Why do we have things called tomato factories? That's very sinister. Tomatoes are natural things that grow in the wild. What is a tomato factory? Are we talking about tomato sauce or what?
That is a very good question.
I'm very disturbed
We
by
must
this.
get to the bottom of it.
And also, why would a tomato factory be red? Well, have a red light. I mean, I know they're shining tomato. I'm just sorry, but we've got
Is
to
there
get
a
these
banana
out.
factory which is yellow?
That's
like,
right.
Very nearby.
All factories have to be lit in the colour of the fruit. They're making in a sinister way.
Oh, it's important in the winter months
Go on.
to have a tomato factory because obviously we can't grow.
Oh, I see. So they're bathing it in light.
Charlie, that's why they pay you the big bucks.
James has a story in the Mail. This is called Hope All's Well, if that's not too much of a cliche. This is about what we write in emails.
Yeah, I'm guilty of this. I'm sure we've all done it, where you start an email with "Hope all's well." There's no meaning behind that. Like, I'm not.
But without it, doesn't it seem rude? I think.
Well,
if you just go straight in with "You owe me 20 quid."
Yeah. Well, they've got there's yeah. Just butter them up nicely.
You've got to give. Look at the have a look in the plasma here. We've got some of the lines.
Yeah, that's it.
And Hope all's well. Apologies for my delay in responding, which means I've completely forgotten. Yeah. Hope this finds you well. I've run out of other ways to start emails. As per, that's very passive
I
aggressive.
love that one.
As per,
That's my favourite.
I love that.
You didn't
I love
read.
that.
A quick note to say, and just following up, because I asked for this 2 weeks ago. So, some of these, I find it really annoying that my email now auto-suggests whole phrases. And even offers to write things before I've started. How does he know what I want to say?
That's a dangerous game because people will be reading your emails and going, is
guy's
everything
on
all
air."
right with Jeremy?
Yeah, exactly.
Being very weird today.
So do you have a go-to phrase when you start? If you and I were emailing after the show, would you say...
I'm quite blunt.
Right.
I'm straight into business. There's no foreplay with me.
Oh.
I'm straight in there. You know what I mean? There's no messing around.
Yeah.
Things are looking up.
Charlie's like, hello. Charlie's like, ding dong.
We'll email after the show.
Send him a very blunt email afterwards.
What a time to be alive.
I feel like Cilla Black here.
Email foreplays. It's not something we've ever had on the show before. All right. You have a go-to phrase?
I do actually. It's I thought actually. By the way, I thought apologies for the delay in my response. I thought that'd be a lot higher percentage because I say that all the time. Sorry for the delay, but I also say I'm just reaching out. But I was told to ban that for I'm just reaching out.
no.
If you're emailing someone new, you just say I'm just reaching out because of. It's
quite nice.
I think it's.
I quite like. I hope this finds you well.
So the thing that I love about that is suddenly everyone's a bit Dickensian. It's a bit like something out of Bridgerton. Hello,
Yes.
I hope good sir, good day to you, kind of thing. It's like, and then it's like, then we go into like emojis afterwards. You know what I mean? It's just this kind of like slightly.
I wrote a letter with Dear Sir or Madam the other day, and I thought, this feels like I'm in Bridgerton suddenly. Thank you, James, for coming on the show and joining our little madhouse here. Make sure you check out his podcast, Male Mind Matters.